Call this meeting to order. Whereas as upon the council president, time is 6 p.m., be resolved this regular meeting be open for business at the Nassau District Community Center and Arena, and at the minutes of the regular meeting of September the 8th, 2021 be approved. Move to second. Kevin and Dale there. All in favor? Carry. Be resolved the following be added to the regular agenda there. F2, request for quotations that are doing maintenance there. Move to second here. Linda and Pat there. All in favor? Carry.
The 8 properties that have been advertised for sale as surplus properties, there were 3 that obtained some interest, and so we have a summary of the submissions that was circulated for council's benefit.
And 3 parcels, where are they?
The first 2 are near Government Road, Dixon Road area, and the third one is Spruce Street, Massey.
No interest in the lots of this area.
No.
It would be nice if we see more building going on. Anybody got any questions in regards? Be resolved the following bids be accepted for the purchase of surplus property as per resolution 2021-210, roll number 3-14300, Ray Brubaker, $17,600. Roll number 3-14403, Trenton Train, $11,000. Roll number 8-19500, Kevin and Dennis Carmen, $16,100. Move in the seconder. Glenn in there and Patrick. Any questions, anybody? All in favor? Carried.
I believe items A2 and B2 were added to the agenda at the request of Councillor Rivers.
I've spoken with the chief and I've spoken with some of the councillors, and they're interested in getting together with us. They've been busy through the summer. We've got common problems and common assets as 2 bordering communities. I'd like to see us get together. We haven't met with them since pre-COVID, and I think it's time. We've got a new council out there, so I think we should get together with them.
Some morning there,
Pardon me?
some morning or afternoon or?
How's everybody feel about it?
Oh, absolutely. Needs to start happening again.
I'm thinking maybe we should approach them and see what date they're available, and then we can kind of work them out.
And the other thing, I don't know, the numbers are coming down. I thought maybe we'd end up going backwards with our reopening, but we could house them here, could we not?
Yeah, it's still
Under the present rules.
with their numbers, you don't have any councillors there.
Well, keep in mind that everybody has to show their vaccination record.
Oh, I'm just talking about the numbers in this room.
Yeah, we would just have to expand.
We're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
So,
we'll make a phone call and find out what they can, they're available and willing.
excellent. Maybe they can provide us like a second option or something, but I imagine council will need to discuss it first.
Yeah, if we're going to meet with them, we should have some kind of agenda there, what we'd like to talk about there. Or
Well, right now they've got that huge opioid situation out there, and we've got it here. As we can tell by our daytime home invasions that are happening now. So that's one thing that one of the councillors out there mentioned, and I think it would just be good courtesy to compare notes with them on anything else.
I'd like to talk about economic development because they got lots of projects there that they're trying to get off the ground, and so are we there. So.
Yep, and did we not apply for grant with them a couple of years ago as well?
I don't believe that ever
Materialized?
materialized. I
Oh.
think that the deadline had been passed
Oh,
before they
okay.
were able to get the submission in.
Okay.
But it's good to throw different ideas around
Yeah.
there and see if,
Well, it's a completely new council out there, so.
It's like starting over again,
Yeah,
right?
just to
So
get
we'll
to know
start
each other.
easily.
Throw some things around for starters, I don't think we need to have a big agenda.
No.
So,
no, but it gives it some idea there with that. We can talk about that.
Maybe we can just all do a little bit of brainstorming and maybe once we get a date, we can call into the office and suggest what we're kind of interested in, maybe we each came up with something or whatever, but I think if we keep it brief, there'll be enough discussion.
I agree. I believe having 2 things for your agenda would be more than sufficient to have a good meeting and a good start.
so let's see when they're available and we'll go from there.
In regards to policing there, what, you brought that up in as well?
Yeah, but you want to deal with it
Yeah,
now?
we'll do it.
Okay, as I said, I believe it was a public works meeting, I had spoken to a couple of officers while they were doing a patrol, and we haven't gained any police officers. What we had was our township and Highway 17 monitored by the present police force. Now they've taken on 5,500 people in Espanola without any increase in workers. Yesterday, there was a police officer from Sturgeon Falls watching our set of lights here for the construction going on, and that fellow said he can work every day of the year. So these 2 officers said, give us some help. We can't help you guys need to make some noise, and they strongly recommended. We talked to Espanola, and I think Espanola's got some deal where they demand 2 officers on their streets at all time. But I can tell you, from being in this town, there's lots of 12-hour shifts, we hardly see a black and white car. So now that we've had a few home invasions in the last couple of weeks, and a lot of break-ins and yard thefts at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no hands on deck, and as soon as somebody gets sick or takes a holiday, there's a shortage. So I think we're cheated. I don't know if it's the OPP or the government, but somebody's cheating us, because to add on the city of Espanola onto the police force that we had running the highway in our township, there's definitely something wrong. So that was their suggestion to me, is we have to make some noise, and it has to go above the Espanola headquarters. It's got to go higher. Now, this fellow that I spoke to yesterday said it's province-wide, the problem. There's a complete shortage across the province. So we've got, again, just the opioid situation right now. We've got numerous problems happening, and I think it's only going to get worse. We've got a lot of elderly people in the community that are getting scared, and in one home invasion, I'm glad the lady didn't see the people, because who knows if she'd still be here. So
I'm just confused as to why, how the town of Espanola themselves would be able
to help us,
yeah.
well, if we collaborate with them, these officers figured that they could say, yes, we account for the same force that hasn't enlarged since Espanola got rid of their town police. So these officers just thought we'd have some strength in numbers by including Espanola. There's something wrong anyways, and it's gonna get worse if we don't make some steps.
We have a La Cloche Foothills meeting next week, and OPP are usually represented there, so I mean, I could, as well as the town of Espanola, I mean, I could bring that up.
That'd be
And
great.
if there's anything that we can bring forward at that time, we will, and if there's any benefit of getting together, I'll find out what.
That'd be great. We've got yards being walked through almost nightly right now. And a lot of it's people that aren't able to jump up and chase somebody down the road, but we've got a problem happening here, and it's getting worse. So I think it's time we step in and try to get some accountability. I don't know if I should say the OPP, but I'd like to hear somebody tell us how we can include Espanola in with what officers we had previously. Doesn't make sense.
I think there's more than what we had previously surfacing.
Well, these guys said no.
Well, be careful that we don't get caught in a labor dispute. I made a few inquiries to Espanola about whether there were a lot of complaints of lack of policing, and I was told there were none. But I just don't want us to get caught in the middle of something.
Well, we're caught in the middle of something right now.
Well, I know, but I don't wanna get caught in the middle of policemen saying, well, we're understaffed and the way to do it is for, the township needs to put pressure on. Cause
Well-
I know what command is gonna say. They're gonna say, well, you want more policing, spend more money.
Well, we need more police, yeah.
Well,
We need it.
well, then maybe we need to spend more money, but let's find out,
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also, I mean, they're creating task forces for opioid issues and stuff like that. So, there might be more police, but they're being utilized for those specific things. So that's my take on why there's probably not more of a presence out and about. And they're focused on, that.
What happened to that police services board initiative? What?
It hasn't,
It's
nothing's
never
been filed.
materialized?
Well, it's just not finalized, like it's
Okay.
still, it was sent away and we haven't had, I may get an update next week
Okay.
because it was through La Cloche
It
Foothills
was,
that we did
that's
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
There certainly seems to be a lot more cars parked at the OPP station, so there's gotta be more staff there.
Well,
they're
they're
Leave
also.
behind in the parking lot.
You mean in Webwood?
That's
Or-
not.
No,
or
it's-
up to-
In Espanola, at
Oh, in
the
Espanola.
attachment,
Yeah.
there's lots more
Well,
cars
they've
parked there than
taken
there
over
was.
the old police station, but the main command for the area is Manitoula.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if there's less of a police presence. They couldn't just swallow up Espanola and not add any officers. That's impossible.
Well, let's find out, and I don't think these guys like me.
I'd just like to state that individuals should also be campaigning their MPPs, the OPP themselves on an individual basis, because that seems to pull more weight than us. I mean, I think maybe as a township, we go, like, we think we're lacking something here, like, there doesn't seem to be as much as a police presence, but I think individuals also
Yeah.
have to band
There's a
together and
problem.
start
If there's a problem,
phoning
call.
Mike Vance's office and say like, what's going on, like, what's happening here? Call the police station and say, what's happening? Like, I mean, headquarters, don't call the Espanola, that's just a satellite office.
That's right.
You gotta go to the top.
Yeah.
Write letters to the Ontario government, the Minister of Justice, like, what's going on, like, what's happening here? So I mean, we can do it as a council, but I think individuals also have to, or even community groups, like we all belong to a lot of volunteer groups. And they have to take some recourse to it and make sure you're heard. Because they go, oh yeah, there's another letter from the township. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's,
I hear ya.
but if there's like a whole group of people
Yeah.
that are sending letters, even if it's the same letter, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's how many come in.
And it's a provincial thing, so Mike Math is
That's
the one,
right. It's
Yeah.
our MPP.
Carol can't help us.
I mean, I'm sure Carol's office would have some ideas, but Mike Vance is the direct one, he's our Ontario representative.
That's right, it's
Yep.
OPP. so-
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what Kim finds out. But in the meantime, people can still write letters and complain.
Yeah.
so we'll wait and see what the boss says there before we jump the gun
Yeah,
there.
well, we gotta do something. We're hurting right now for police coverage. I'm in town every day and every night, and they're not around, they're a no-show.
Yeah, but there was three behind your house there today there. So. They're out in the community there. Okay, be it resolved that Marcia Lalonde be appointed junior firefighter at Station 2 and call Olson and Noble as firefighter at Station Number 4, subject to the usual terms and conditions.
All of that.
Dale moved there. Edith seconded it, on there. Okay. Now, have they got their vaccine and everything before they start to come?
I don't know. Council didn't pass a policy, employees have to.
You have to really employee yet, that's what I'm saying. Because sooner or later, we're gonna have to do something there. You notice the numbers in Alberta's gone out of whack. There's a schedule in there today there, showing numbers there, and part of their numbers are people under 12 there, so.
It's due diligence for us to put something into place, I believe, with a time frame, of course.
I don't know, when it comes to employees and putting people out of work, I've got a hard time with it.
I think we should,
Yeah,
Well,
that's the problem.
I think we should see what other communities have for a model, and maybe we can adopt it or tweak it to fit us.
It's not mandated at this point, of course.
It's up to each municipality.
I'm sorry.
It's up to each municipality for their employees.
But what Edie's getting at is that it's not like it is for this building. This building is a provincial mandate. Anybody that comes in, because it's non-essential, the same with restaurants inside. Everybody has to show that they're double vaccinated, but that does not apply to employees.
Or volunteers. Which in our fire department is pretty well all volunteers.
Well, exactly.
And that's where
It's
Paul
that
is
Public
worried.
Works and the province is saying, well, you guys should really consider this and adopt this, but, maybe it should be coming from them. But how long do we wait? I know the library board is ready to just do it, but I don't know.
Well, we could at least suggest it, at least talk about it, or
I think for the safety of all the employees, I'm not saying you give them a timeline to get their vaccines. I don't believe in firing them, but then they'll have to take a leave until they decide to get the vaccine. Because the majority, I'm sure, of the employees that work now with the township are vaccinated.
I would imagine.
You have to remember that there's, in specific information, there are 3 options. You're going to choose to adopt one option, which is full vaccination. The second option is to, there's 3 options. The second option is getting testing and initiate your vaccination. The third option is to, the second option is give a medical waiver, and then you are allowed. The third option is to not have your vaccinations, be tested as per whatever the requirements are of the place that you work, and do the education that's provided by the government. So everywhere has these 3 options. Whether they choose to adopt these recommendations is up to the place, but there is 3 options. I just want to make that clear. All those 3 options are there. Whether a place or a facility decides to adopt them is their choice. So when it comes to having employees that you feel like you might be putting at a place, and that would have to be brought in because of that. There is an option that they can still work, be tested according to whatever you decide, and have the education.
well, maybe when Kim talks to Espinola, maybe she can find out what's going on at her end, and we can discuss it at a further meeting.
The problem with testing is that it takes, 3 days?
No, it doesn't. You
It
can,
depends on the test you have.
okay, there's a rapid test, okay, they don't have it available. Say, I will just give an example. So it's here, they would have to go to a place like Espinola to get a rapid test, have the result to the employee, and then come to work, okay? When it's done by a place like that, it doesn't cost you anything, okay? The rapid tests are available in a lot of places, and that is one of the requirements. They, some places are once a week, twice a week, daily, depending on where it is. And it's already happening. And the education portion of that is already happening as well in some places. So there is options there. And the rapid testing, I know that I was talking to Marla and she was looking into getting that. So the rapid testing for here.
But the numbers are going up out west there, and to the east there, Quebec is having problems there. So sooner or later, there, Mr. Ford has got to do something there
Yeah.
to solve some of these problems.
So my issue is as a representative of the fire department, it's all volunteers. We have just the ones, we have a police chief, or fire chief rather, and the rest are all volunteers. And we can't, Paul is really worried. If he doesn't have, if we get a fire call and the guys are asked to come out, do they have to go and get a rapid test? So now they've got to go to Espanola or here or wherever to get a rapid test. They can't go to the call. This is a real stumbling block for the fire department, real stumbling block.
But it would wind up being a weekly, like, we discussed this at the library board the other night. And in Glenda's, where Glenda works, they get tested on every Friday, and by Monday morning, you've got your test. But I guess.
But what happens is a fire on
yeah,
Saturday and they can't go?
On the weekend.
So what you do is when you adopt that policy, it's specific to that group of people. And you say, okay, so you need to be tested once weekly. Okay? So that would be the mandate, whether you would, you can attend all the fires, but you have to have that test
Yeah.
provided once a week.
And if a positive test pops up, well, you've got to step away. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're not gonna come into a fire.
Oh, right now it does.
Well, I know, but I mean, it doesn't mean that they can show up for a fire and have COVID. And they still may be, even if we adopt that policy, because we can't do it. You can't say, oh, show your proof before you go fight the fire, like, come on.
I know, that's,
I know exactly what you're saying.
yeah.
A lot of places have chosen the week specifically because of what the data has created. And when somebody does contract COVID, it takes like 5 to 7 days for it to show. So that's why a lot of places have taken the week. So if they get a COVID test every week, then it would show if they were symptomatic.
So
Or
it's,
not even non-symptomatic.
Yeah.
it sounds like we need that rapid test in our township, then, so these people don't have to travel 20 miles to get a test.
And the rapid test is good for a week.
Well, if you put that in place, then yes, you could get it tested once a week.
I think they should be wearing masks anyway.
Of course. That is one of
They
our.
have their, then they have to wear masks, so.
They usually got their spot mask on.
I'm guessing that the majority of them are vaccinated. That's a guess on my part.
And can't ask them.
No.
No.
That's the thing.
Unless they're
Paul's kind of on a stumbling block here. You can't ask the guys, are you vaccinated? It's not his right.
It's against human rights.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real stumbling block.
It's against the human rights, but if you have policy in place, workplace policies in place, then you have those policies that state these are the requirements to work here. So that's not asking them, these are the requirements to work here.
I know
So that's
that.
a different thing, you don't have to ask.
So then our policy will have to also include volunteers.
Yeah, most of them do anyway.
Yeah. Well, some municipalities have passed, and some have been failing both. So you can find out what's out there, and I guess we can go from there and look at it. I could see how people struggle with it, because you can still carry the virus, you can still spread it, even if you're vaccinated. So, and I'm vaccinated, obviously I'm here, but you can say, yes, we should be vaccinated, save the kids can't be vaccinated, but we can give it to them anyway. You know what I mean? So all you're doing when you're not getting vaccinated is leaving yourself open for, to get the virus. So I don't know, I really struggle with this. We're gonna tell a person, well, you can't come to work, you gotta go get tested. And testing is another story. You gotta go, you gotta get a swab shoved up your nose, it's like,
If, how I see it, if you're prepared to put policy in place, then you have to be prepared to have those things in place that, you know, like the testing and whatever, that has to be prepared as well before you decide to institute that policy. So whatever options you choose, you have to have that ready.
and there's no rapid testing up north here, I don't think.
Yes, there is.
There is?
Yes.
Where?
Out at like,
Not
Silver
at-
River, Espanola does, the family health team has it.
Okay.
And it's specific because every place has different priorities for work. And, you know, there's essential, non-essential, so all that takes place. If you were a cleaning staff and you chose not to be vaccinated, in our policy, yes, you can go get tested once a week. You're not in contact with anybody. So, you know, that's your choice. You have to have the education and do that. So it depends on where you work, it's how it's gonna affect you. So having those options is really important.
And another thing that just came to my mind is the hours that they're open to do the rapid test. And most of the guys work at the mill.
Yeah.
They come to work early in the morning and they don't get home off work until 4 or 5, whatever.
I understand that, and there has been accommodations for that. So they set up appointments for them, and they preset them for the whole month, every week, and it's done. And that's it, yeah. So like I say, if you're gonna put that policy, you have to have a plan for that.
But on the other side of the coin there, Cambridge College there told all their employees there, if you don't want to get you're going home. And Chris Odegaard said they sent 2 home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't want to get it, so
That's their
they don't
decision.
want to infect the students that are going there, and you had your choice, get it or don't get it. So sooner or later, somebody's going to have to step up to the plate there, our premier, and say enough is enough. Because if the
Well,
numbers start going,
It's like in the States, Biden, like, any place with more than 100 employees have to be vaccinated. I'm not sure about the testing, I would imagine it's the same on vaccinated or tested.
Well, maybe the Massey Clinic can get it and we can discuss it at our next meeting.
And that's a limited time frame there.
There is, yes, it is a limited time frame, but, just talking with another clinic, they do have, they're trying to set up rapid testing for all the small rural areas. So that when these mandates or policies come through, that they have that availability so they can offer that. Because there's some people that, even though they have medical issues, can't get a medical slip and, you know, so they have to, you know, and they want to continue to work in that. So, you know, it's fair to say that you have to have some options. And if they can't follow the 3 options, then I guess they don't work. And, you know, and that's just the way it is. But at least if you have options, you have opportunity. So,
okay, hopefully in the next few weeks there we'll hear something from up in there. Okay, be it resolved that RFQ for hot mix paving be awarded to Beamish Construction at a total tender price of $182,088.20. That deal is moved here?
Yes.
And then the second there. In regards to the last contract Beamish there did there on Big Valley Road there, and you got all them bumps there, he said if you don't prepare your road there, that's what happens. Is the sections we're doing this year all prepared there? That we won't have that problem?
Not yet, I don't think.
Well, for the surface treatment, yes. Because that's what the issue was on Lee Valley, was the surface treatment roads or areas?
No, it was the pavement at the far end by.
Oh, sorry, okay.
That was at the intersection.
Yes.
That's horrible.
I know that they're getting, they're doing some work to get started on this. They got their locates that they needed to get everything prepped for when the paving gets done.
Because if there's a section that we gotta put a little lift there before we should do it there and do a good job.
You can speak to Jacques about that, and perhaps he can collaborate with the people from Beamish. Make sure that what they expect is there for them.
All in favor? Carried.
I have the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting report on, and I'd also like, have Paul Anderson here to speak on the, COVID protocols for entering this building. In addition to a couple of other items.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, since we've had our committee meeting, there's been a few things that have come to light. One of them being that modern hockey is having a hard time placing teams this year. And at this point, they're not 100% sure if they're going to have a season. They're still kind of scrabbling. They're trying to do one more. At this point, they had called it saying they weren't going to have a season, but there's been more interest in perk up, so they're going to try and do another registration next week to see what happens. But in the meantime, I had a meeting with the president of minor hockey, and what he's decided to do is they're going to guarantee us a minimum of 15 hours a week, regardless if it's hockey or not, in order to keep money coming into the facility. All right, so I don't know if that's a little bit less than what they normally do, because there's not going to be games on the weekends and things along that line. I reached out to figure skating and learn to skate. They're both willing to go ahead still. They're looking forward to start doing registrations. Sportsman's League is willing to go as well. Mike Abaton does like a youth program as well from the reserve. And Ethan's still willing to go, and we have a guy that comes in from Cutler Lake as well that does like a skills building, and he's willing to do that as well. So it brings us up to a little over like 23 hours a week, I think is what it is at this point. But that's if there's no games that happen. But if man hockey does have games, they'll still do the minimum of 15 hours a week, regardless, plus additional games if there's requirement for it. So yeah, so that's come to light. So originally I had the ice scheduled to like the plant to start. There's work being done on the plant right now. We ran into a couple of issues. We're gonna have to see if we can get a part. But originally we were starting having them on the ice for October 4th, which means we're gonna start the plant on the 24th, 25th, and around there of this month. So I don't know if we want to still start the plant then, or if we want to push that back a little bit, to, just because we started this month, then our hydro usage for the whole month goes at our peak rate. So if we start it next month, and it's not affecting this month's as well. I personally like to see it start, but that's not my call.
So 23 hours versus what did we have pre-COVID?
I was talking to Ruth about that earlier today. We have to go back to 2018 to find that number, so she's going to get that number to me. But just to see in revenues how much it generated. But they're on average, last year their block that wasn't fully utilized was 25 hours for the week themselves.
Just minor hockey?
Just minor hockey. They didn't use it all because of what happened, but that was their original block ice agreement.
So is there any public skating at all?
I contacted the health unit about public skating as well. Public skating doesn't fall underneath any of the exemptions for the new COVID guidelines. So I also pulled around to other facilities as well, and nobody's offering public skating. Reason being is it's your age groups there, because it's not an organized sport or practice or things along that line. The exceptions for the shots down to 12 aren't there. So nobody is doing, SNO is not doing any weekend programming or evening programming period on the ice surface. There's hardly any going on the island as well. So I think we're going to forego public skating this year. My recommendation that we forego public skating this year, as tough as it is to say that. It is a nice revenue generation. The health unit is kind of iffy on if like shinny is actually considered an organized pickup sport. But how I would see it is like you go there, it's organized because they're coming out at the same time, and it's sport. So I'm thinking at this point, for the youth, the shinny can still go on and be under the exemptions for the need for the COVID vaccinations. However, for all the adults coming into the building, there's no exemptions unless you're a volunteer. If you're a volunteer for the organization, like minor hockey coaches and things on that line, according to the government guidelines, they don't need it, but NYJ has come in above that, their governing body, and said, no, yes, you do. So they have to follow their guidelines as well as ours, so, yeah. So, like, I'd like to see guys go in, because I think there will be usage, and we don't know how this is gonna go, like, we don't know if things are gonna get a little bit slacker as far as the rules and regulations. Like, we changed it in 3 days, like from initial post to the new one coming out, so they may lessen as well, or they may go the other way and be more strict. Like, it could be a total repeat of last year, where something goes up, goes up, goes up.
I think we have no choice. I think we need to open it up and see what happens. And if we gotta shut her down halfway through the winter, we will.
Yeah. And as far as canceling public skating, I would say let's just put it on hold
Yeah.
and make a decision like
Till further
weekly or
notice.
monthly or as needed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over.
Postpone it.
Yeah, so we just say
So
that
we'll
we're
say
starting
it's
public
postponed.
At
skating
this point,
time.
it's not allowed. That's
Yeah, Espanola is still doing their moms and tots and things like that during the day, because you don't get a lot of people come out, so it's easy to monitor outside for the social distancing. But, so they're still doing, and I think we should do that as well, because it's a day program, but, so we'll keep this going as much as we can, with the rules.
What's gonna happen, we're all there, there's gonna be an uproar there, because the ratepayers are gonna say, we're paying the deficit there, and you're not allowing my child there, even with public skating,
Yeah,
and we're putting the ice in early, that's the problem.
so, like, I think the ice is, normally they go on the ice, I think the weekend after Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving, we've been having them on the beginning of October for the last few years. So I'd like to see them get on that, so I don't even know if we're gonna get started though, if we can't get this hard for compressor number one. So, but,
For the public skating, it's a public health rule.
It's out of our hands.
So it's out of our hands, yeah.
So they can complain all they want, we didn't make the rules.
All the public health
made the rules are high enough right now.
so,
Yeah.
Well, and that's the reason for the bullet enrollment too, let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, and when they,
Because 12 is 12, but there's kids older than 12 that play hockey.
Yeah.
And there's people that are hell bent not to get vaccinated. Like, I saw the uproar on social media, I'm gonna make a rink on this lake and hell with the arena, and it's like, our hands are tied.
that's right. And I think if it's ready to go, I'm sure it'll change 5 or 6 more times. in the winter.
Well, that's it. But we have to start the place up, get the
Yeah.
ice on and see what happens. I know there's a cost there, but if it all falls through, well, we'll just have to.
Like other arenas,
Yeah,
I mean, they're facing the same thing, right? We wanna have something available for the kids to do. And if it's just a game of shinny, they'll be happy,
yeah, I agree.
right? Or mums and tots to go skiing, fine, it's something.
Well, it's the 22nd today, and Paul was talking about starting on the 28th, is that what you said?
No, they'd be on the ice roughly on the 4th of October.
But you were gonna start putting ice in on the
Well,
28th.
we have to start the plan, yeah.
So you're still waiting for a part,
Yeah, I'm still waiting for our part to come
so,
in.
so it won't be any sooner than that.
No, but like, when we were working on it, because originally, we're gonna start it up this Friday, whatever that's, 24th. We're gonna start it up this Friday, all right, but I don't know if that's gonna happen, and because I didn't know what was gonna happen here tonight, so I have to call them after the meeting tonight, confirm that yes, we are gonna go ahead. Like, for me to get everything done in time, like it has to start either the end of this week or the beginning of next week.
But you need to park.
If the purpose, yeah.
Just don't say if, say when.
Pardon me?
Say, I say, don't say if, say
Yeah,
when.
When it
When.
comes in, hopefully they didn't order it from China.
Yeah, no.
Packages are backed up. Chinese order.
So do we need a motion for that then?
No, we got one here, anyway.
The report.
It's in the report here.
Yeah.
Anything else, Paul?
No, that's not like
Okay, be it resolved, the Tax Park and Recreation Committee meeting report of September 15, 2021 be accepted here. Move in a second. Pat and Cheryl, all in favor?
that. No.
This changes there pretty well daily or by the hour. Be it resolved that an attached staff report regarding COVID-19 protocols for entering the arena and banquet halls be accepted as a township policy based on the provincial guidelines under the Reopening Ontario Act. He brought up new rules there today there, and the heat's he getting, he's gonna be adding more of this.
You can't keep up,
No, you can't keep up.
or they can't, I should say, the staff can't keep up with.
Well, with this resolution, citing the Reopening Ontario Act,
Yeah.
any guidelines that get changed under that, we can go accordingly as well.
Thank you.
Move in a second here,
Um,
Cheryl. Kevin, all in favor?
We have a consent application on the agenda. The purpose of the consent application is to create a new lot in the rural zone in Victoria Township with a proposal to establish a school. The suburb portion is approximately 155 meters by 64 meters, and it will meet the one hectare minimum lot area requirement. The retained portion is, well exceeds that. There's still 150 acres left. Under the municipal plan review, the application indicates that there is agricultural activity on the subject property. This will continue and not be interrupted as a result of the severance. The property is affected by the Beckett McDonald municipal drain. There's no municipal servicing for water supply and service, private sewage disposal services are required. There's no natural heritage features under the Ministry of Natural Resources mapping identified on this property. Screening for Ministry of Culture, there's no features to protect from there. It's not adjacent to a provincial highway, no consultation required. And the application is not within an area of significant planning interest under the Ministry of Northern Development and Mines portfolio. So the application was circulated to all the adjacent landowners within 60 meters of the subject property, and it was advertised in the round and about on September 7th. So the official plan designation has this in the rural district, which provides for rural residential uses, agricultural uses, and makes provisions for other associated uses typically found in a rural area, including a school. Applications for sensitive land uses within 50 meters of the main Huron Central Rail Line should be accompanied by a noise feasibility study. This application indicates a setback of 75 meters. The zoning is in the rural zone, and the proposed severance meets the minimum lot requirements. Access is from a year-round publicly maintained road, which is River Road. The setback from Highway 17 or the rail line is determined by a noise and/or vibration study if such is required by council. Due to the existing residential use of the surrounding properties, council may deem it appropriate to waive this requirement. And under the provincial policy statement, it would fall under section 1 on building strong, healthy communities.
Jerome, seeing you live right across from it, you got a kind of concern or a comment there you want to make?
Yeah, you do, but not because of the school. Because of the highway entering into the school. We have to fix that. When horses come up, when they make a left-hand turn, you're coming around the corner, there's no place for anybody to go.
Well, even for
Lots
us.
of times I go up to the top of the hill and turn around, come back up, there's a transport behind me. So somehow or another, between us, we have to try to fix that highway. I don't know if you have any contact or, but we have to make a turning lane off the left hand going into the river road. The school is no problem, I'm all right with the school. But that highway's never been any good for us. In vehicles, it's even gonna be worse for horses.
Does everybody know what Joan's talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
it's too bad we lost that crossing that was there years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they were gonna put the crossing back in there, they should have put the crossing there and cut that river road off at the highway. That was supposed to happen, but then they objected uptown, it never happened.
But
And
you
we're
can
still
put-
faced with the same thing.
You can put your signal on before the,
Yeah, you can try
sign
to
back
slow
there,
down.
say you're turning left, and the car's behind you.
They're not,
then they
and
can
there's
get-
no room for them to go
There's a
by.
passing lane that's just ended there on
They
westbound.
don't even, you're coming around the corner,
Yes.
they don't even put the brakes on, they just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Good
car
point,
goes-
Jerome. Good
You're
point.
right.
We have to do something
Yeah.
with that.
Dangerous.
There's enough of them getting hit already.
Well, we can
Not
certainly
because of
write a letter to the Ministry of Transportation indicating with our larger Mennonite population and the transportation methods that they should really look at that intersection.
They should get another crossing there like we had before.
Mhm.
You know, I would like that if they shut it off at the highway, cut that off and open it up for cars, what they were supposed to do before. That was brought up before, but
When you said the people uptown, did you mean council?
no, just the people of
Oh,
town.
yeah,
Some
yeah.
people rejected it,
In welfare?
yeah,
Oh, I
it
see.
never happened.
Okay.
We tried to get it there, and you were in Central there, said no.
Yeah, if that happens, they'll have to fix, Walford Road then, for more
Well,
traffic.
you go straight up the hill, though, just go across.
Yeah, but I meant they'll have to fix coming down Sansenberg Hill, you know, like widen that a little bit, 'cause even now they have, when the buggies are on,
Passing lane on the highway.
a turning lane would be nice,
Yeah, turn.
right, for you
That's
what I
guys,
mean.
Yeah.
What do you call Saftenburg Hill, Cheryl?
where the east entrance to Walford, that's it, I call that when you turn, heading
That
down
little bit of a hill that
Western
comes between the rock and the
That's
side
a
of the
real
rock.
name,
So you're
Sorry?
thinking west, the east where.
No, I meant
where
going like on
Safety is,
Walford
when you
Road.
turn in there, there's a little turn lane thing,
Oh,
you come in and
yeah,
down the hill.
Yeah, I always thought that was safer off the highway than the one that the only one that's there now.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing Jerome brought that up.
I should have done that a long time ago, but.
We could just dealing with it.
But we just go up to the top of the hill and come back and there's a
Yeah.
transport behind us, we don't try
No.
to.
They don't always slow down. They think
No.
they've got room to go around it.
And when they're
It's up to the guardrail.
And when they're leaving River Road to get back up the highway,
Yeah,
people come across that overhead like
that's
going
right.
to,
Yeah, so not a good sightline at all.
No.
Well, it's a
that's-
two-lane Trans-Canada highway, so.
that was my worry is when they're building the school there and in and out of River Road, it's going to be,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna have to, get a hold of the ministry
yeah.
and say, I think we're gonna have to revisit that turn because
Yeah.
it's a little,
Yeah, someone will get killed there.
well, and you can't see, when you're going across the overhead and heading east, you can't see who's coming out of River Road right away, so.
That's right. It's even worse going
Right.
off the highway onto the road.
Right.
When you go on the highway, you have to be doing 100 right away.
Yeah,
And westbound, there's congestion with the passing lanes ending previous to that, so
mhm.
it's definitely a good possibility for catastrophe.
So that would be my only worry about that, about the school.
But we could wait
In and
on
out.
the Ministry of Transport till we're blue in the face too. So what do we do in terms of the school?
How long does it take to find that out?
You'll never get an answer from MTO, and you'll never do anything from until they do the next resurfacing, which
Yeah.
is 10 years or more.
Exactly.
So you can't stop them for that long.
So it's gonna be up to us to create some kind of, is there any way to create a, we're gonna start building roads so they can have their school there without getting killed?
All we need to do is replace the crossing that was there.
But
We
I
tried
don't know,
to do
the
that.
railway probably won't let you.
No, it was not
We
that
tried
long
with the
ago
railway.
that they determined that it was coming out and it wasn't, we weren't able to use it anymore.
No.
Well, the parameters have changed with our Mennonite population. Certainly don't want to see a bunch of people getting injured or worse.
Well, no, but I mean, in that, we have to tell them they can't go ahead with this. Which is unfortunate. Like,
Yeah, because there's no other way to get in there. They'd have to go all the way down the road and come around.
And I think a lot of them do right now.
A lot of them travel highway to go, some go to school and walk, or some go to the mountain.
Sundays, go to church.
And Sundays, yeah.
And Sundays are all on
Highway.
So I've seen a lot of them on the river road too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and some of them just take government road and pop out onto the highway.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for someone coming from Walford to get on River Road, there's no other way.
No.
And
So-
there is
So if you're coming out of Walford down to go on the river road,
That's right.
it's okay, you gotta turn in lane, it's coming the other way.
Yeah, the
Going
same
this
pattern,
way.
yeah.
But even then,
Not only that, you're going around the corner,
And,
so everything's flying
It's
behind you when you
elevated
get to
too.
the corner, it's coming around the corner, then you make a left.
Yeah.
yeah, and even
So
when
you
you,
gotta stop if somebody's coming,
Yeah,
and they're still running at 100.
oh, I know.
They're going by you like,
So
I always stay tight to the yellow line when it's a car, and they go through, if any car just, so they're pretty close. Then if it's transport, I just carry on.
it's something that has to be addressed
Well,
before,
it does.
I don't know.
That says, the MTO.
I know,
well, you could involve an MPP on this.
We all know there's a concern. Can we send this back to James there and tell us the concern there
yeah.
and see if they got another option? Or can they help us out with MTO there to get something alternated in? Because that group of people maybe have a little bit more hold there than,
Maybe, yeah.
Because we want them to have schools.
Yeah.
yeah.
Their safety, and I appreciate that you actually came on
Yeah,
the concern of other
I'm
community
worried more about
members'
that, the
safety.
school with me is fine,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
fine
and
with that.
to be thinking of transportation safety issue, you know, like, that's appreciated.
and the school right straight across the road from our house.
yeah, in light of the
And I'm
increased
fine with
traffic and the construction, even without the construction, the traffic has increased immensely.
Yeah.
And I understand completely when you're trying to turn on to River Road, going west, it's horrendous. You know, they pretty well have to put you four ways on almost to even commit to doing that. And then when they're coming from the overpass, they don't see you until the last minute going east, so it's very difficult.
I've had difficulty traveling eastbound trying to turn right into that, because it's not a 90-degree turn. It's less than 180, but I've got to make quite a circle there, and I try to slow down, and there's cars backing up behind me because they're in a rush.
Well, they did make our turning lanes long enough, right? None of the ones in the wall, the one by Gatlinburg is not bad, but the one from the west end and the one at River Road are horrible.
Yeah.
They're way too short.
We address that with the company too.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get them made longer.
Yeah.
Cold road is very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I think we should talk to, see if we can get some reaction from the NGO.
I will write a specific separate letter to MTO with regards to that intersection. But it's not in that consent resolution, just because it's going back to the applicant.
And does the MTO have anything to do with the railways?
No.
No, but we can write them a letter there and say, by the way, there, this is what's gonna happen there, and can you help
Is
us out?
there any way we can reopen
Because
that
things
process?
gotta change with the rail line there too.
Years
Well, our
ago,
population's increased, we have people that are actually going to want a school, so that means the population's gonna increase, like, it's increasing, so we need to accommodate that, by having safe roads.
We'll write the railway at the same time, ask them about.
What do you mean,
They're
Russ,
seeing the
about
cross.
things are gonna change with the railway?
Well, you're on Central there, maybe there's a new company
Yeah.
involved, so maybe there with some help there.
Okay, I got
And you don't need the wigwags or anything, because you got a good view both ways there, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, you never know.
That would be ideal.
I'll read the resolution there. Be it resolved, the consent application number 2021-11 be deferred pending further review and consultation due to the local concern of the turning access onto River Road from Highway 17, and that the applicant be requested to provide comments and proposals for the users of the proposed school. So hopefully there, they come up with some ideas there that can save somebody's from getting hurt. And it's not just them, it's us too.
Well, yeah, that's-
Everyone, and everybody that uses that.
Yeah.
And even drives the highway, I guess, for that matter.
And you moved there, Cheryl seconded it. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Ron.
Okay, with regards to the agenda addition, F2 for the zero drain, as council is aware, a request for quotation was circulated. We circulated it to 3 local contractors. We received 1 response to that request, and it was circulated to council with your asking for your comments, concurrence, concerns, and so on. And I believe that Ann has notes saying that there is the concurrence of council to proceed as per the submission that was received. We had our drainage superintendent take a look at this, and he's very confident that this is more than half, like, it shouldn't be that much. This is a really high number for this job that's being done. And, but, I mean, it's what we have. I don't know if there's any room for negotiation. So what we did was we have taken the bid that was received and we put it onto the spreadsheet for that drain that would show what each of the affected landowners are going to be responsible for on that. And I have a copy here. It's just, like I said, a draft right now based on what was submitted. And I'll just circulate it for council's review. So the third last column has the dollar sign, and that is what the total amount for the maintenance costs would be attributed to the landowners. The second last column that says grant is what the agricultural properties would benefit from the MAFRA. So the next column, which is the last one, is what will be the actual net cost to the landowners on that. Right? So I just have, because council meeting was coming back again, I have wanted to put it onto the agenda just to have the formal resolution of council to proceed with this.
so I just want to ask one question. This drain was way out of whack, so I don't think the land has shifted over time, did it?
Yeah, but the trouble is there, that land out there is flat. There's only a 5% fall. That's why only one bid on there, because you gotta be precise there when you dig that drain.
Well,
And
another
that is
contractor
the
using high-
concern there that the contractor has.
But that drain was previously done, right?
It was previously done there.
How many years ago?
2014 was the last maintenance.
So for the elevations to be that far out of whack, I'm just wondering, was the ball dropped somewhere, what happened? Something happened.
If you weren't right on the money and it's settled, and that's obviously what happened, I think.
Well,
Is the work in the same place? I don't know what was done in.
I heard it was like a foot, the elevation was off by a foot, that's not just a little bit of silt.
Well,
Yes, but you gotta remember how it was dug. If you dig the bottom of the ditch and pound the dirt into the side of the bank there, it ain't gonna stay there. It wasn't taken away and it wasn't put out in the field.
So if we're gonna do it again, we better make sure that we're satisfied. with
Well,
what we've done.
the contractor that's doing it will know what to do.
it's not the same guy.
The
No.
the bottom clean out of this drain is only 650 meters. That's just like basically ditch cleaning, right? Yeah.
Now, the net cost there for the ratepayer will be the 11,900.
Yeah.
And there's 4,000 of that is attributed to roads, which they won't see.
So it's not even, so it's like, what?
No, like, as I said, each one of these properties, each one of these lines is a property,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's the amount that they'll see.
Minus 4,000 for roads,
Yeah.
so 8,000 maybe. And we've got 30 properties here. So the cost is gonna be pretty minimal. And when I spoke to John Mooney about it, he said, nobody's worried about what it's gonna cost us. It's gonna cost us what it costs us, and we'll take care of it. Everybody's wanting it.
Yeah.
And so it was felt that that was a high quote.
The superintendent felt that that was high.
But it may come in under as well. Anyway, no, you don't think that's.
No. And he's doing 650 meters, he's bid 20 meters per,
Okay.
or $20 per meter, sorry.
Anyway, it's gotta be done, and I
Yeah.
don't think it's gonna put anybody in the courthouse.
I
No.
agree.
As long as all the landowners know up front there what's going on before
Yes,
we jump the gun.
yes.
Well, they'll know that, our municipal policy says that the treasurer will advise, will give notice that the work's being done, and we'll give them a copy of that.
You just said that the landowners will all get a copy of this? Okay. Because that's my concern after the last incident, that
But
these landowners need to know exactly what their cost is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, even though Mr. Mooney says that everybody's
Yeah.
on board with it, there might be somebody who isn't, and then.
But we do have to proceed with the work.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotta go because of the timing, right?
Yeah.
And that's been the worry over the last couple of months, so.
But it is our policy now, and anytime there's a huge amount of work to be done in a drain, that people will be contacted
Exactly.
first.
Yeah.
Well, good, if we can get that done before it gets
It'll be a
messy.
benefit to everyone there.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, be resolved that the request for proposals for the Harold Drain maintenance be awarded to Media Construction at a bid price of $25,500 plus HST. And that pursuant to municipal drain maintenance guideline policy, the treasurer shall notify the affected landowners with the estimate cost for the repair. Kevin and Linda, all in favor?
You want to take it back?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's all draft.
Okay.
And there's just one matter to go into closed session for. It'll be
The recorder.
brief and easy.
Okay, be resolved, move into closed session at 7:03 PM pursuant to section 239-2 of the Municipal Act to consider personal matters about identified individuals, including municipal and local board employees. Move in a second. Cheryl? Kevin? All in favor? Carried.
Okay, this is with respect to our account.
Report?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Be it resolved that closed session be adjourned at 7:08 PM and that the regular meeting be resumed. Move to second, Kevin there, Anita there, all in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that Rachel Mayville has successfully completed her probationary period in the position of county clerk and is hereby deemed as a permanent full-time employee. Linda there and Edith there, all in favor? Carried. So you're gonna write a letter to your example with regards to that,
Yes, I will.
and then to you,
There, yeah.
tell me that.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be. Anybody got any other concerns?
You didn't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mayor is not supposed to be here for 10 minutes before the regular meetings, and he was here well before that. Tonight, I just want to remind him of the restrictions for council meetings, and he's not to attend unless it's 10 minutes at 5:50 PM for a regular meeting. And there's a garage sale at the Wabi Community Center on Sunday for fundraiser outdoors. And we're having it Sunday because that's because the main organizer is off on Sunday, so. If anybody asks, she's the organizer, she can have it the day she wants. Thank you. Money's going to the community center and what he wants, you know.
Lots of questions swirling around Webwood with the school. Right?
Yeah, I've seen somebody asking who owns it. The school, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all cool.
The next council meeting will have the planning applications, and,
Oh.
and you'll have the,
I-
you'll have the proponent as well as, yeah.
I had spoken to Ann, while you were asking him about, adding these things to the agenda and also, that water power, organization. I'm just wondering if we can touch base with them, and I don't think it's up to us to figure out on the map, that land little map where that site is, if they hadn't shown in our township. I just kind of like to identify it first so that we can gain an idea of what we would have to do to see something like that move forward.
So, it's on the information they'd already provided, but you just want more specific
Well,
detail on where?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I could come up with a spot, but I'd rather see them show us in a bit of finer print where it is, because it's a very bland map. It doesn't show too much, so I mean, it would be a guessing game. I just like to know where it is, because then we know if we need a road and on, but I'd like to see us make an attempt at trying to get this forward while we're still in our term here. There was one spot in our township. I asked the lady when she was,
Yes,
and she said, I said, I see a spot, is this in our township? She said, yes, it is. And I think Tim approached them later, and
Yeah.
that lady's not in that position anymore,
Okay.
and on. So again, I could take a bunch of maps, but it's no good getting it from me, it's gotta come from them. They put an X on a map, I'd like to know specifically where it is.
Okay, I'll see if I can
Thank
follow
you.
up more with that.
Mr. Farquhar and Lakeville have all the maps here. He's always trying to make it together.
Was that right?
Yeah,
Is that Wendell?
yeah, I know. The one name's car dealerships.
Oh, okay. Far from the far.
Towards Parkview.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a group there trying to.
I thought they retired. I think Quasi passed away, is that one?
George is quite active, he's in the cell office.
Anything else, anybody? Okay, be resolved at time of 7:13 PM and this meeting be adjourned on next regular meeting of Common Church. You were second, Pat and Kevin, all in favor? Carried.